Welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. Today we're working on 2 blue block of the months, just to catch up because we kind of got behind, and I'm terribly sorry that happened. It is the July block and the August block. So first we're just going to start off with the July block, and that is strips. So we've sewn a bunch of strips together. I made a template that was 5 inches by 5 inches, and then used that template to maneuver wherever I thought was pleasant on my strip of fabric and cut out, and I just traced around and cut out my 5 by 5, and then I put a nice little little sashing bit in between, and then there we go. And it's kind of like a, looks like I guess a big hashtag, you know. So we need to make one more. So this is just a continuation of what I had going on and was cutting my pieces out of. You can see right there where I could probably get another one right now, but I want to be able to make a mug rug out of this section as well. I did make a mug rug already out of August's, and that is somewhere. Maybe over there. We'll see it when we get to August part. Okay, so I just put my strips were probably about 9 inches long, and I varied them from 1 inch to 1.5 inch, and you know, varying spaces in between. I really wasn't on the quarter or an eighth or anything else like that. Just try to make it nice and even. And then I think even a couple of them I tossed in at 2 inches. I think that was one of these ones and another a blue color. So let's just sew a few more strips together, and I'll show you how I got to we're going to finish this off. Okay, so I had 3 here sewn together, so let's put that over, and then we've got a couple of little ones that we can add on to make sure we have enough. Okay. And just, you know, normal stitch of a 2.4, that's what's on my machine. That's what, when I turn it off and on, that's the one that pops up on it. And if you wanted to do this as in a scale, you could do it like very similar to what we did on a Sugar Redo project. Scale it down about 1/4 inch each way, and then you can get certain cuts out of it. I was trying to use my template just to kind of flip and flop wherever I wanted. I didn't want just a specific angle. So all right, so let's put a few more on here. And I just used a little bit of gray and a little bit of white to accent, because they are in the previous blocks. Right here behind me we have January through June. I've got them all together. And we're obviously working on 2 more today. And then the 3rd row to be done was when we finish up September's. Well, we don't need that. And it's a fun little easy project. Like, there's no really rhyme or reason or any strip you pick. Just pick whatever, and of course, especially if you're just working with like some sort of little color selection, like I am with blue, trying to do blues with a little bit of accent of gray and white to help complement and pull things together, because sometimes just a lot of blue is just too much. So, and even this one right here, this little stripe here, has every now and again has a green stripe or a variation of a green and gray and blue stripe. So kind of that also helps bring things all together, right? So here, let's add this one and then the checkered one, and then we'll give it a little press, and then we'll start cutting our little squares out. So I think we should probably be able to get to, oops, I de-threaded my needle. Whoa. Hold on. I always find it best to cut a nice fresh. I'm not going to be able to see the eye of the needle. Especially when it pops out of your hand. There we go. 3rd time's a charm. And of course, if you just had certain colors that you were working with, like maybe just pinks and purple and a yellow or something like that, I think that would also be really kind of cool. Especially because you have that freedom to flip and flop your template. Okay, so let's give this a little press to lay it flat, okay, as best we can. And I've been keeping all my stuff in my beautiful little project bag that I made. A couple of projects ago. I've made a few of them, and they have been extremely handy. And I'm going to make sure I put a couple of new ones to use as we start getting packed up to move, so I can put some projects to the side. All right, so take my little template. I just cut it as it's not necessarily paper, but it's a little bit like cardstock. And then I just I was utilizing the previous cut edge just to be able to do 3 little edges. But I mean, you can certainly flip or flop, or you maneuver any way that you wanted to get a different angle to your blocks, right? So I'll just continue on with the the way that certain angle that I was going with there over here. And I just used a Sharpie just because I knew whatever the edge I was going to be cutting next to, and then nobody was going to see it in the seam allowance. So. And you know it's 5 inches square, so that does help as well, right? When you're lining things up. And then you should be able to get another one by using the edge of that one. Yeah, perfect. And then we can turn this one into a mug rug as a gift, because we've been trying to get something extra out of every month that we could give away as a gift at Christmas. So by the end of all this, we should have 12 lovely little blue gifts. Most of them are like hot pads, but I want to make a few little mug rugs. You know, there's only so many things you can do, right? So, all right, so let's take our ruler. Here we go. And cut these 2 squares out. So I'm going to go right down the center first, okay, because then that separates those 2. And then I know pretty much I got to go on one line, cut straight up, and then 5 inches over from there is the next cut. So I can always make sure I'm squaring it up in this corner here. Sorry, maybe you can see that there. Squaring it up in this corner here because it's a 6-inch ruler, so I'm coming over 5 inches and I'm coming up on a nice solid line right there. And I was like, oh, good, we're happy. All the way up to the top, there's our 5 inches. I'm going to do the same over here. Follow one of the lines as a cut. Line it up. Now you can do it at the top here, the top little angle. Make sure you got a nice even 5. And then over here again, lining it up. Make sure things are nice and square, or as square as possible. It is fabric, right? You know, we understand. Okay. And then those little bits and bobs can be put into something else project, okay? So we're going to take one of these and turn it into the finishing of our block here. So let's take that one and make it the mug rug. And we'll take this one. And what I was doing kind of one diagonal and one horizontal, and then flipping and flopping for the next row. So this row we're going to have to add down onto here. So I would want this one to go in a, say, a horizontal manner. Let's see which one I like better. I like that one there better. And then this one will be in a vertical, and then this one would be more on a horizontal. There we go. And then we'll add those little bits right in between, and that'll be our block done. It'd be so pretty. So pretty. All right, so let's sew these on either side. Okay. Grab the other one and just flip this right over, line it up. I've used some jean in here, or jean type material. Well, it is jean, but it's got like a, not necessarily a stretch to it, but it's definitely got a softness that, you know, some normal jean doesn't normally have. Okay, now we get to put a block on either side, and make sure we're trying to keep with our, you know, horizontal, vertical sort of situation we want going on here. I mean, you could do them all the same way. I mean, it's up to you. But it's a good way to play with little strips and being able to use your own template and size that you want to make. You know, you can make like a big 8-inch one and then start cutting things out like that. Some people may even have like a nice 8-inch ruler, and you can just use that to cut. So I kind of picked an odd number like 5, of course. Well, it's kind of what worked with the nice little thick sashing to make the 18.5 by 18.5-ish sort of square for the project, because they're all 18.5 by 18.5. Okay. Okay, there we go. Beautiful block. Okay, now so we're going to try to line it up. There was actually, if you see here, my seam is a little off, so I could try and scoot this one over here a little bit, which means this one over here a little bit, but I can do that on my own time. Let's give this a little press, and then we'll try and line it up a little bit better to get these seams a little bit more prettier. Okay. So if we line them up on top, okay, and we try to get their seams lined up by trying to flip them back a little bit and line them up, put some pins in, okay, and there at the end, and then try and get this one lined up as well. And then back and lay this one down flat and kind of fold it back. See if we can line those seams up a little bit better visually. But in really the whole scheme of things, if I were to leave it, I don't think anybody would ever notice. You know, it's those things that bug us, not everybody else, right? So it's a little bit full in the center there, so let's pop a little pin in there. All right, and we're going to sew that down. And we can flip it, and then be like, oh, well, that looks pretty good. It's better than the first round, so we'll go with it. Okay, all right. Let's finish off the July. And it's been fun incorporating new blues and old blues into this whole project of the blue block of the month. When people ask me, you know, oh, do you have like a bucket of each color? I'm like, well, I got 2 buckets of blue and like 2 buckets of green and like a 1/4 bucket of yellow and an 1/8 of a bucket of pink, or you know, something like that. And I'm very surprised to say that I have like 2 big buckets of blues. So I don't know how I accumulated a blue, but lots of people like blue, and apparently I like blue too. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. They line up all right. Okay. And there is our blue block of the month. Oh, minus a pin in there. There we go. Explains why it wasn't sitting so flat. Perfect. Give that a little press, and then that gets into the row set for the next one. It'll go against the August. Okay, let's give that a little press. Because it's a little full in some of those blocks, just because of the way the fabric is. It's a little stretchy. It's okay. We'll make it work because it's pretty much in the middle of the quilt. So, okay. There we go. Isn't that cute? Okay, let's put that up behind us. And we'll just put it off to the side here so we can still see it. Okay. And then we'll get started on August's. There we go. Okay, now for August, it's super easy. It's one of my favorites, is a rail fence. So if you do 2.5-inch strips, and if you wanted to keep them all the same like I did, you can do like a whole strip piecing, like you do the whole width of fabric sewing together, and then just cut your pieces off. So if you sew 3 of them together, that gives you about 6.5 inches, and then what you want to do is be able to turn that and be able to cut 6.5 inches down. So you're making a whole square out of the 3 pieces, okay? So I've got my little set pieces here and some extra, because I was going to make some extra mug rugs for our paid guild members as a little treat. So we'll do so. We'll give 10 of those away. All right, so here's my colors. I'm keeping them the same. I'm using each one where I placed it. I really kind of fell in love with these colors when I was doing it for a past project a few weeks ago, and I really wanted to incorporate it into this project, especially with that little tiny touch of green, because it also complemented the one that is in July too, the little tiny little touch of green. It's just bringing home some of my two favorite colors, right? So. All right, so let's just sew. We have 3 more to do. So let's just sew down. And of course, if you did it as a whole big strips, it would be a whole lot easier and so much faster. But if you wanted to do it as a scrappy version, then you just want to make sure you're cutting your 2.5s by 6.5s and you're sewing 3 of them together. Okay. And of course, any way you want if it's scrappy. Right. If you want to have one color that's consistently light in the middle, like this one is here, or like a darker one on the edge, then it's going to make a certain pattern depending on how you lay it out. Okay. There's many different ways you can make it. So this one here looks like a bit of a pinwheel. You can make it so it's doing this whole dog leg sort of thing, which is kind of what we got going on here between these two blueies. Which I'm loving. Sorry, it's a little warm here today. So we need 3. Oh yeah, I was making one more for the mug rug. That's right. That's right. What did I do with the mug rug? Oh, okay, I got it. It's over there. Yeah, I finished one, and I was going to make another, and then I was going to make another, and I thought, you know what? I have all these strips that I'm going to make a gift for our paid guild members, just to say thank you. Do some random draws and draw 10 people, and then send it off to them. May even be a surprise. I'm doing more than 4, but that's okay. Let's do what we need. And then some. Why not? Why not? And then we just put the other strip on the other side. Super easy. Now, there's really no seams to match up when you're putting these blocks side by side. It's when you're lining them up row by row that you really want to get those seams precise. So that, I guess, is the challenge to this block. Okay. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh. I made a boo-boo. That's okay. No worries. It's colored on the other side. I had extra. Okay, so here's 1 out of 3. There's 1. There we go. Here's 2. Line that up. I just love those fabrics together. Just so pretty. Nice and bright for August, you know, last of the summery months. Okay, and then these are easy to press open. Just usually press to the dark, so it's kind of like just a little right down the center. I'll just move those off to the side there. Okay, let's give those a press. I hope everybody's having a really good week. Ours has been busy and a little hectic and trying to sort some stuff out, but we're doing the best we can. That's all we could do. We're only human. Okay. Now, you shouldn't really have to square any of these off, because especially if you're just doing like little strips or you're cutting the whole pieces, you should be okay. So when it comes to laying out the 3rd row, you want to lay it so your pieces mimic each other. Like these ones are all going to be the same. So here and here, and then this one is going to be up there. So it's just continuing that lovely little transition. That's out of the way. Okay. So when we put these two together. Okay. And then over here. Okay, we'll sew those two together, and then we'll sew that together, and then I will talk about that. Okay. next. Do, 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 do. Right. Now this is where you can kind of just give this a little bit of a finger press at the moment to line her up with the other rows. Okay. All right, and then you want to make sure that these seams right here, these ones right here, match up, because it just helps with the whole transition of the whole project. Okay, and it just looks really cool. Okay, so pin that there. Flip and flop the seams for where it's comfortable for you or where the fabric wants to go. It has its own mind. We know this. Okay, trying to line things up the best you can. If you feel maybe your squares need to be squared up a bit, then go ahead and do so. Okay, there we go. Pin that. That looks good. Make sure I got my layout correct. Yes, I do. Always best to confirm than having to seam ripper and mopey face, because that's what I would have. I would have a mopey face. I'd sing the seam ripper song, but I would still have a mopey face. All right. Now that is August's blue block of the month. Isn't that pretty? I'm really liking that one. I love a good rail fence block. It's one of the ones I made from originally for myself with my nieces from Calgary. Their pajama bottom stuff and all sorts of project fabric I used to make with them. So there we go. Isn't that beautiful? A little rail fence. Okay, awesome. So now what you can do with one of those blocks, once you have it all finished, you just lay it down on some backing, whichever you want to use, especially if it's just a mug rug. But if you want it to be heat resistant, you might want to purchase some of that fabric. And then you just stitch around it. I did like down each side here, and then across again. And then just put in a little 2-inch or 2 1/4 inch binding all the way around. So, and that turned out really, really cute. So that's one of them, and then I'm going to make a few more to be able to give away, like I said. So thank you everybody for watching, liking, and subscribing. We greatly appreciate you here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. I hope you guys have an amazing day, an amazing weekend, and that you join us tomorrow on the Saturday at 1 p.m. on our live stream, where we're going to be adding a purple piano border to this quilt behind me. Okay? So big hugs to you, and we'll see you real soon. Thank you so much for your time.